Well, today was an interesting day. I replaced the drill with the DeWalt. This thing wasn't running slow enough. This is a clusterification of a whole bunch of different things laying around the shop. That's different than that. It wasn't tall enough. And it's just a bunch of scrap iron welded together. The only thing I purchased for this was the sprockets and chain off of Amazon. There's some things that still need to get cut off and all that. But basically, I went out to the pick and pull, grabbed a lawnmower transmission. Okay. That's not a shifting transmission. It's just, I think it could have been a hydrostat or just a single speed. Don't know. But anyway, that's the rear differential, and where the drill was the pulley. Okay. Cut off the shaft, and if this did have a differential, I would have welded it together. I don't remember. But anyway, so I supported that shaft with one of the wheel bearings that came with the assembly, and on the other side I'm hanging free and put a sprocket on. It's 1 inch. Then got a gear for 7/8. That's what that shaft is. Or no, that's 1 inch also. That's 1 inch. It tapers down to 7/8 on the dies. I had a regular cheap old drill, kind of a hammer drill, you know, a larger size drill, but it was cheap. The problem was it was AC and it wouldn't start slow. So it worked, but it wouldn't start slow, and it wasn't geared low enough. Well, as it turns out, these DeWalts, you know, of course, this is an old 12 volt that I have an adapter on, so I can run my 20 volt batteries in it. I've got it on, this is a 3-speed. I've got it in the 2nd speed position. I can go down to the 1st speed, but I did use the 1st speed, but what I've basically found now is that do I have it on? Yep. Okay. And with the DC, you can start really nice and eat the slow too. So it's not such a shock. That AC was such a shock. So, and then 2nd gear, I can get up to there. I can shift down to 1st gear if I've got some really tight corners, but it's almost like, holy cow, it's just crawling. So, works pretty good. Just a spring. You know, I cobbled all this in, a spring with a guide. I got a little bit of a burr on here, so I'll have to grind that. But this works really well. You just barely see that's crawl. Pretty cool. And I made some tooling. I made a rollover in the lathe. The rollover die that I can pop on here. I made took an old, you know, one of them caster wheel. And I did press it on, but with the pressure on the wheel, it came loose, so I Gorilla Glued it. Anyway, did that, and then I made, because I was all excited about all this, so then I decided to make this piece, which is the back side now of the engine cover. This will come over. This lid will go on. This will be exposed. but I'll put a weld on top with a relief in it where this will be an exposed piece. But in any event, I made that, and I drew it on here to make sure that I could get both sides symmetrical. And it worked out pretty good. So that'll go on here. This will continue up the front. You know, I got about, what, 1.5 inches. Continue up the front. And then I got, you can see on my red marks, this will dump out here to the side with a hole in it. So I'm continuing on with, you know, little bits and pieces while I have fun. Thanks, guys. Time for me to take a break, so I started working on this. So I got the back, 3 pieces so far. Got the back, I trimmed it so that I could roll a bead so it'd fit in the bead roller. And then I got this side and this side done. So 3 pieces, so not done, started. And then I'll just continue. That bead's going to continue around and follow down. It's looking pretty cool. These will all get tigged together as a continuous piece after I get the bead roll in. I'm lining it up with the top because I think I'm going to need to trim it just a little bit. I made it 1/4 inch too tall for a reason. Well, 1/2 inch too tall, but 1/4 inch because I want to put a bead underneath this cover. So that's the air cleaner, and that cover will dress the top. It'll be the opening. You pop that off. You pop the air cleaner out, replace it, clean it, whatever. But I still need, I'm addressing this here because this is angling in, and I got to get him to come a little more upright. And it's just a convoluted mess because I'm coming around here and I need to clear that for the thermostat housing, and I want it to tie into that. So this will all be one piece when I'm done. I'll trim it, fit it, and then TIG it on to here, and then clean the surface, and voila. But it's coming along. It's coming along. It is a challenge, that's for sure. But I'm pretty happy with it so far. Okay, well, everything is now bead rolled. And of course that I trimmed this edge so it fits through the roller. But of course everything takes a little different shape. But what I'm gonna do is make one piece out of these 3 right now. 1 and 2. 2, 1. So I called out the sides because of the obvious. You know, you can see my line on there and there. And although it's super close, it's not, you know, dead on. Let's see here. So I'm off. This is there. So I'm off from side to side. You can see on that one that I'm off about 1/16 of an inch. So mark your sides. It sure makes and then you start right on your line, and you get very, very, very close, if not, you know, quite precise with it. So minimizing the doweling and everything else to push it in. So, whew, they moved around a little bit, but they look good. You know, they'll have to twist and fart and, you know, do all that, but it's coming along. Well, look at that crooked monster. One side welded on, it's just sitting on here. It's not trimmed, nothing's done here, but I got, you know, a couple of voids, low spots. It's fully welded inside and out. It's not, you know, the seat, I got it in, of course, I got it very even together. It's just that I undercut a little too much heat on the TIG, but I'm happy with it. That stuff I can fix later. Right now I'm getting it together. It needs to come a little bit together, but that, you know, when you heat it up, it moves things. So one down, one to go. All right. Both sides welded. It needs tweaking. I just finished. You know, this needs to twist down a little bit. That needs to be straightened out. That's not touching the side, but it's, you know, and it's got to come straight up here. But it's getting there. It looks like a bathtub from the 20s. But it should look, I don't know. The jury's out. I'll, once I get it trimmed and set in there and all that, then I'll, you know, maybe even just throw it away, but it was a good experience. But at the end of the day, that's what I got. I'm happy with how it welded up and stuff. I'm just not ecstatic on the look yet. Once it's in the car, maybe it looks different. Don't know yet. That thing is frickin' huge. Thanks. Hey guys. Okay. I got the, you know, mostly just ground. It's just started grinding. Then I started finishing here, and you can see I've got some hammer and dolly to do. But again, rolled that edge over, so I have a radius around the side. You can see I have, you know, a little work to do. I'll have to dolly that up and all that. But just starting to finish it out. Test fitting constantly. I am going to close this gap between here and here, which is approximately 3/8 of an inch. See how it but back in here where it's setting flat. So that'll have to come up a little bit, which will push this side in a little bit. And what am I trying to say? It's going to cause me to identify where I need to trim this piece before I weld it onto the lower piece. This is actually starting to stand up on its own right now from the welding, and trying to keep it as perpendicular to this as possible. So the concept is that where you see the tape, that'll roll, and this will roll under for a rounded bottom, and then this will be flat coming down. So it'll transition from, you know, a relatively square surface on a rounded surface, and that rounded surface will tie in right down there and roll under. I don't know if it's going to be the solution, and I do have a lot of time into it, but I'm not a spectacular TIG welder. I'm a learning TIG welder, and the control is great by comparison, and the control of the material is great by comparison to MIG, and the effort going into the grinding and cleaning is spectacular. And the fact that I can, at the edge of the weld, I can dolly that way, to not make the 18 gauge 36 gauge material in many spots. That there's a lot of benefits that way. So I'm happy where I'm at. I need to continue. I will TIG weld this piece on, but I don't know precisely yet how I'm going to do that. Maybe just tack it and keep finessing it until I can find where it needs to go. I know I'll get there. I just haven't determined what that solution is yet. And then the bead is rolled in there, which will accommodate that 1/8 inch surface around here, so that lid will sit on and be recessed slightly in there. This is actually the diameter of the filter, so it's not convenient at this point to pull the filter in and out. I'll have to get in here. You can see that's more than 1/8 of an inch. I'll have to get in here and open up that surface, but it's easier to remove than it is to add material. Trust me, I know. I had to add material in 1, 2, 3, 4 blow-throughs on this thing. Whew. Anyway, going well now. All right, after a fair amount of screaming and yelling and arguing, got all that welded on. You can see here it's sitting on top of the cable and stuff. So, I mean, this ribbon on the back, I knew I'd, need to do work once I lowered it down, but she's a little lifted off the rail there and sitting flat there. But I got the front on. This is just sitting on here. It's not, it doesn't have the base on it or the air cleaner in it. It's just sitting on there. And you can see now the concept, how it dumps and then attempts to turn back flat or parallel with the radiator. It's not truly parallel, and this all needs to be cut. I'll probably mark a line so it looks somewhat parallel before I cut and finish that end. But you can see, and I actually, I'm not even centered. I'm sitting in whatever, but you can see what I'm trying to accomplish here more easily now. And it did set down quite a bit. It's nice and well below the hood. And I thought, God, that's so big and bulky, but I'm starting to like it. I'm starting to enjoy it. So I'll keep plugging away, plugging holes. No. Anyway, this is how this kind of turned out. And yes, you can see it. I'm MIGging. I'm tacking with the MIG. I'm going to set up the TIG and attempt it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to MIG. I MIGged all those. I just touch MIG, spot all the way around. Because I'm just not that good right now at TIG welding. I'm still in the learning phase. And that I know I can get penetrated. I know that I can do that. All this up here was TIGged. All this was TIGged for that piece. And it does clean up better. It does hammer better. All of that is better. So I'm going to try to do that on the finish side. It just, now I have easy, it's on the top and stuff like that in a corner, and that I'm afraid I'd have frickin' holes everywhere. So I muscled with all this stuff. But got to keep learning, right? That's what we got to keep doing. Getting closer. Alrighty then. Base is ground. I ran out of paper for my finger sander, so I need to get it and do some. There's some dressing that still needs to be done. A little more hammer and dolly. I hammered a lot on this, and it's good, but my intentions were originally to get this to a level where I would powder coat all the copper. But if I can't get this perfect, you can see there's a couple of ridges and ribs that need to be hammered out, and all this weld needs to be hammered out. But I don't want to tear through the metal, so I stopped, and I need to breathe on this thing. But all that inside radius stuff turned out really good. Anyway, if I can't get it to the level that I want, then of course I will put a surfacer on it and primer surfacer on it and block it out and just paint it. I still have to drop that down, but It turned out good. I got the front trimmed. I don't know if I'm going to flange this yet. I'm just thinking about that right now. But step back a little bit. I mean, it's such a massive valve cover. It just go to the other side. It's got the hood on it, or the hood side mock-up on it. But it looks cool. It looks classic, but it's an engine cover. So I don't know. I'm proud of it. And I'm going to use it. So that's what we got. This is probably the last time you'll see me on this. You know, maybe another one, but the reality is at this point that I just got to finger sand it and mill it down. So you'll see it on the engine, but I think you get the concept. So again, that stays polished. Everything else is painted, matching the valve covers, you know, various other things. Thanks, guys. Hey, guys. That was a fun project, very fun project. And right now I'm recording this as our videotape is rolled forward a little bit on my life. But I did, and you will see in upcoming episodes me going through and finishing doing a snorkel on the front of that. I did a considerable amount of rolling and transitioning from that flat surface and that radius bottom to a kind of a oval opening. It turned out really cool, and I'm going to leave it hanging for you there. But this is a little while later that I'm recording this piece, and at this moment, my intentions to finish this with powder coat failed. You know, I just did not get the cover totally where I wanted it in terms of metal finishing. So I wound up using surfacer blocking and taking it to a very nice finished surface. And at this moment in time, I'm finishing it out. And in a few videos in the future, you're going to see how it turned out. So hang in there, watch as I progress in time up to where we're at, and enjoy. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for the increase in subscriptions, the increase in views. Share this with your friends. If you think the content is something somebody can learn from, or just enjoy. I'm not the funniest guy in the world, but by now, if you've watched a few of my videos, you know that I probably don't think like the average person, and you know, I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying until I can get what the results that I want. So enjoy. Thanks a lot. Like, subscribe, all that kind of a thing, and peace out.